Christmas is around the corner and we're serving up some Christmas theme inspiration. We've created the chat equivalent of that family next door that really just loves Christmas. Custom cake and candy receipts? Check. Slightly terrifying Santa background video? Snowflake Blizzard background with effects library? Check. Okay, so start off with a new Xcode project. I already did some basic integration of Stream, so I suggest if you want to follow along, pause the video for a bit, head over to the Stream website. They got really great docs. Set up your own new Xcode project, add the packages that are needed, and then follow along with my code to connect your user to get started. Before you're able to start, you do need your own account on Stream. So head over to Stream, get a 30-day free trial. That's it. You can create your own application in the dashboard, and then under an application you will get your own app key. Next up, we are gonna attach our app to our Stream account, Stream app we just created. How do we do that? So first of all, import Stream Chat and Stream Chat SwiftUI. Next up, you're gonna create a chat client. A chat client is linked directly to a product. So here we create a config, a chat client config with the API key you just received on your dashboard. Feed that into the chat client. Next up, we're gonna create an instance of Stream Chat, which we are going to feed our chat client, and then we're gonna connect the user. So what I did in the dashboard is I created a default user. So that's the user I wanna use during development by default. So how to do that? So we create a token. By default, you have to authenticate, but Stream allows you to create a development token if your app is also in development mode, which is then valid throughout the session. So you're able to authenticate without actually authenticating. Then we call connect user on the chat client, give the user info. So I want to authenticate with iOS DevTools, for which I created a token. Then I want to give it a name, which is again iOS DevTools, and a profile image, which is a URL in this case. Then feed it the token you just created, and you should be good to go. Next thing, import Stream Chat and Stream Chat SwiftUI into your project. And then we're going to connect it. The important part is this. You're going to create a new chat client, and that chat client is going to have your API key, your unique API key. So that's available on your Stream account on your dashboard. So add this code. So it's a new chat client with the API key added as a config. Then we're going to set up a new instance of Stream Chat, which we are going to feed the chat client we just created with our config. Next up, just for testing purposes, we're going to connect a default user. In this case, I, in the dashboard, created a new user, iOS DevTools. You can get your own unique authentication code. Be sure to have your app on development mode, and then you can create your own authentication code that's valid throughout the session. Once you did that, you can connect your user, give some basic information, add maybe a profile image, and then everything's set up and you're good to go. Okay, so now you connected your default user. The next step is showing our list of channels we are included in, attached to. How do we do it? So Stream has a lot of out-of-the-box components you're able to use. So head over to your main file and then add this component. Be sure to also import Stream Chat and Stream Chat SwiftUI, and then include chat channel list view. This component, like it describes, is a list of all the channels you are in. So that's gonna result in this view. So run it. Probably gonna be in light mode first. You can do Command-Shift-A to switch it. And as you can see, I'm included into 3 channels now. So if we click, that's the channel I have with Santa in this case. So the next step is here. We're gonna start theming it. Okay, so now we are going to create our ViewFactory. First of all, I'm gonna switch to dark mode because it's just a little bit easier on the eyes. So let's go ahead and create a new file, a new Swift file. Call it custom UI factory with capitals. All right. So we're gonna write up the basic code first. Import stream chats, import stream chat SwiftUI,
create a new class that conforms to the ViewFactory protocol. Injected our new chat client. The initializer. In our static shards. All right, so this is the basic code. Now the first thing we are going to change is, or are, these little red indicators. So what do I want? I want 2 candy canes if it's red, 1 candy canes if it's not red. So I have some assets here. So these ones are not read by all, and these ones are read by all. So 2 candy canes if they're red, 1 if it isn't. So get back to our custom UI factory view. Now, what you need to do is you need to return a view to override it. In this case, what I always like to do is to go through their GitHub repo and search for the view they are using in order to modify it. So if you go, this is their main Swift repo, and there is a struct that's called message red indicators view. So this is going to be our starting point. So this is the view we want to modify. So let's copy that over. I'm going to put it here. So all right, what do we have here? So first of all, let's remove the public from this case. Okay, so first of all, let's remove the public in this case. So what do we have here? We have images, fonts, colors. So we want to keep it roughly the same. Okay, so let's copy it over. So paste it here. Delete the struct. So what do we have here? So errors first. Cannot run type view in scope because we didn't import SwiftUI. Let's import SwiftUI. All right, they should go away. So let's have a look at the basic struct first. So we have our images, fonts, and colors. Our red user, show red count, age tag. Okay, so this is gonna indicate the red count, like a number, and this is the image used for the check marks. So that's the one we're gonna replace. So we are gonna replace it with our own candy canes. So what do we want to do? Let's remove this. Let's say, so if it's read by all, I want to have 2 candy canes. If it's not read by all, I want to have 1 candy cane. So we're going to do red users is empty. If it is, we're going to read by, if it isn't, sorry, read by all. Otherwise, we're gonna do not read by all. It is foreground color, so we want to remove the foreground color because we have an image. The height can still be the same. Let's leave the accessibility identifier. The only thing I want to change right here is I wanted to have it resizable because it's an image, and we also want it scaled to fit. All right, So what we did now is we're gonna overwritten the view, but we haven't actually told our ViewFactory to return it to our chat client. So that's the next step. Okay, so now let's use our custom created message indicator view as the default for our chat list. First of all, let's rename it to custom just to keep it clear. So what you have to do is you have to use a function called make message red indicator view, and that one is going to return some view. So let's modify it to some view, and that's going to return our custom red indicator view. Now it takes two params, red users and show red count. Red user is based off our channel, so we're going to do channel.red users. So we're going to do channel.red users. The current user ID you can fetch from the chat client, so chat client.current user ID. The chat message is going to be the latest message in our channel, so you can do channel.latest messages.first. In this case, we're not going to show the red count. So okay, let's run this code. So as you can see, the check marks are still those blue ones, the red indicators are still those blue check marks. So we're still missing something. What we're missing is telling our channel list view, like, hey, this is my new custom UI factory, my new view factory to use. So let's add that one first. Let's go ahead and go over to our main app view. Chat channel list view takes a param, and the param is called ViewFactory. So ViewFactory in the ViewFactory is going to take our custom UI factory shared. So okay, let's rerun this code. And as you can see now, our blue check marks have been replaced with our own candy canes. So 2 if it's red and 1 if it's unred. Okay, so next up, we're going to add some effects. In this case, we're going to make it snow. So in order to add snow, we are going to use another library of Stream that's called Stream Effects Library. So if you go to their repo, they've got a SwiftUI package for it, which is a sophisticated and realistic particle system. They have some defaults. They have fire, confetti, snow, rain, smoke, and fireworks. So here you can see some examples. Pause the video if needed, so you can add the package to your project. So once the package is added to your project, where and how are we going to add the snow itself? So the idea is that we're going to add the snow onto the background. So not on top of the messages, but just on the background itself. And how do we do that? Is again using the custom UI factory, the ViewFactory. Okay, so first of all, we're going to import the library itself, which is import effects library. In our case, we want to make snow. So if you go to the docs, you can see you can create configs for each type of effect. In this case, it's going to be a snow effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new config that says snow config, which conforms to snow config. And then you can add some modifiers to it. We can do intensity. Intensity for snow is low because it has to be, it falls slowly to the ground. The lifetime of snow is very high. Long is the right name. Then the initial, and then it has a parameter that's called initial velocity. Again, it's snow, so it's going to be slow. And then in order, yeah, we want to have it fade out when it reaches the bottom, but we also want to do it slow. Okay, so this is our basic snow config. But again, we gotta tell stream, this background we're gonna swap out with our own one. And that we can do using a function called make message list background. So make message list background. And that's gonna return some view. Okay, so what do we want to do now? Is first of all, we're going to create a Z stack because we're going to lay something below it later on, the video. And we're going to add a snow view. And we're going to add the config to our snow view. So let's run this code. Okay, so you'll notice two things. First of all, the snow is flying up, it's not coming down. So we gotta fix that. And the second thing, it's originated from the middle. We want it to be more spread out. So what we're gonna do, first of all, is flip it. No, we're not gonna flip the Z stack. We're gonna first create an H stack. And we're gonna add 3 in there. So we have one on the side, one in the middle, and then again one on the side, all again with snow config. And then we're gonna say flip it, and we're gonna do dot degrees 180. And if we rerun our code, you can see our snow is now evenly spread from the top, 1, 2, 3. And it's slowly falling down. So that's how easy it is to use the stream effects library. So play around with it. You can add fireworks maybe for New Year's. You can add some fire somewhere. You can really go crazy. So we want to make it a bit more Christmassy. Right now we have the normal solid backgrounds, white and black in dark mode. So we want to give that real Christmas feeling. And what screams more Christmas feeling than A, having Santa there, or B, having your drunk uncle dancing there. So we're gonna add a video also to the message list background function. So we created a Z stack. So what we're gonna do is we want the video to be behind the snow. In order to add video to our project, we need to create 2 components first. The first one is just a normal player view, and the player view is going to return a looping player view. That's some pre-made code I have. That isn't the point of this video, but you can refer to the GitHub if you want to get the code and use it in your own projects. So let's just add that. Let's create a new SwiftUI file. Looping player UI view. Player UI view. We have some code here, and then we're gonna create the player view. Player view.swift. I have some code pre-made right here. Alright, so we made 2 components, the player view and the looping player UI view. The looping player UI view is the component that has the background video in it, and that's also responsible for actually looping the player. So now I have 2 videos. I have one of my drunk uncle dancing, this one, beautiful. And I also have one that contains Santa. So you can pick whichever you want. I'm gonna go with Santa and maybe gonna try out my drunk uncle one. So let's add them to the project. Drag them in. Add them to the target. And I'm gonna take Santa first, which has an extension of MP4. Okay, let's go back to our ViewFactory. Now we're gonna add it behind our snow view. So I have some pre-made code here. I'll quickly explain it. So I wrapped it in Geometry Reader because I need the full size and the full height. So the full width and the full height. We're using our player view. You'll see I wrapped it in ZStack, but that is for an addition we're gonna do later on. We're gonna use the player view, which we just created. Give it the correct aspect ratio of fill. Set the frame to be the width and height of the full container. We are going to give it a small overlay that is just to fade out the colors a bit. Otherwise it's too hard to read the messages and it will just dissolve into the background. So a little black fade, and then also a blur so it doesn't stand out too much and it has a really nice depth effect to it. So okay, let's run this code. Let's go ahead and have a look. And as you can see, again, our Santa is upside down, so we are going to flip it with the rotation effects, degrees 180. Let's rerun our code. And we can see Santa is now standing upright. The snow is on top of him, and just gives nice animation effects to our chat. So now for fun, let's try out our other video of my drunk uncle. Always a given at every Christmas. Let's rerun. And let's have a look. Yeah, here he is. Reminds me of Christmas. Alright, let's leave him in there. I'm just gonna keep my drunk uncle dancing. So I'm liking the background. So we have the snow, we have the video, but I still think we can give it a more Christmassy feeling. And so we see the snow falling, but we don't see anything lying here. So what I'm gonna do is add a small snowbank here. So if we go back to our ViewFactory, so as I said earlier, I created ZStack here. So we have the player view. What I'm gonna do is I made an image, this one. So it's called Snowbank, which is just like a small snow overlay we can use to just place on top of the message composer. So what we're gonna do is we have the ZStack here. I'm gonna place a VStack below it. So what I did here is we have a VStack. This is the image of a snowbank. I've put a spacer between it because I want to make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And I say I'm telling it alignment is trailing because I want it at the end. It's resizable, scale to fill. Let's see how this looks. And again, it's at the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip the whole ZStack instead of doing it one component at a time. Let's rerun. All right. So my drunk uncle is dancing. In the background, I have my snow falling and I have a little snowbank on top of my message composer. Alright, so we're gonna change one more thing. Just to give our theme so that little edge, and that is we're gonna change out this button, the message send button. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use Santa for it. So I have two assets. I have this one. So when we're good to send, we're gonna have Santa stand upright with his arms open. And if we're not good to send, so if you haven't inputted anything, we're gonna have him lay down. So again, next step, we're gonna go to the custom UI factory. And now we're gonna use a different function. that is called make trailing composer view. So that means make trailing composer view. So this is the composer where the input is, and the trailing part is the send button. So what do we need to do? Okay, so first of all, we need to know how the current button, message button, is formed. So again, I used the repo, went through the repo, and I found this view. So we are going to use it. We're going to copy paste it. Select. Then we're going to use it in our code. We're going to place it at the bottom here. Okay, so let's rename it to custom send message button. And let's have a look at the code. So what it does now, so if it's enabled, on tap is the action attached to it, and then we're interested in this part. So here it's saying render an image, the send arrow, give it a rotation effect, and most importantly give it a foreground color if it's enabled. Okay, so we are going to cut out this, and what we're gonna do is we are going to add our own image. So if our button is enabled, then we are going to use send as the image, which is resizable, scaled to fit, and the dimensions of the frame is width times 50. So that is our enabled state. If it isn't enabled, we can reuse this one, and we can say do not send. Okay, but this is looking like duplicate code, so we are going to make it a bit more readable. We're gonna say if enabled, I'm gonna use send, otherwise we are going to use do not send, and cut this part out. Alright, so the next step, like the other components, we have to define it at the top, like tell our ViewFactory like, hey, this is a new component you're gonna want to use. So we're gonna do it below this one, and it's called make trailing composer view. So public func make trailing composer view, and it is going to return escaping voids, and it's going to return some view, and we're gonna use our custom message, custom send message button, with enabled being enabled and on tap being on tap. All right, let's run this code. So as you can see now, Senna is lying down because we haven't inputted anything. From the moment we start typing, Senna starts standing up, and then we can click it and Senna is lying down again. Okay, I think I'm gonna give my uncle a bit of rest because I think he's gonna get real tired of dancing. I'm gonna switch it back to Senna. All right, now we have Senna. So the last thing I want to talk about is how easy it is for you to switch out your own themes. So remember what we did in the beginning? We gave our chat channel list view a custom UI factory or a view factory. This is something you could do, for example, if you have a holiday like New Year's coming up, you can give your own New Year's theme. You can, on Valentine's Day, you could switch out your whole theming to Valentine's, but also just branding of the company. So that really shows how highly customizable Stream is and their libraries. And that's one thing at iOS DevTools we really like, is that not every product is the same. And Stream has their clients in mind and not just forcing them to all look the same. They give you the options. They give you great documentations on how to, and also the support you need when you run into problems. So we at iOS DevTools, we highly recommend Stream. Have a go at it. Set up your own chat. Play around with the effects library because it's really fun. You can even use your effects library in another project. For example, I can do a quick example of what you could do with it. For example, we now have 3 snow views. Let's say we want to add a fireworks. Just give it a fireworks view. Let's run this code. So here at the side you can see, for example, it's New Year's. Let's add in some fireworks. So again, the library is really big fun. So have a play around with it. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and I hope you enjoyed it.